Fergus. I'm head brewer here at Adnams. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about some of the beers we make. So we're going to talk about this beer, which is Lighthouse. So Lighthouse is 3.4%. We started brewing this probably about 12 years ago, I think. It was based on an older beer, a much older Adnams beer called Champion Pale Ale. So Champion Pale Ale, if you've ever come around on a trip around the brewery, around the tour, as you go up the stairwell up to the brew house, you'll see lots of old certificates, award certificates from the early 1900s, and the most common beer mentioned in those certificates is probably Champion Pale Ale. So we decided to bring that back about 12 years ago, try and keep to the same recipe, more or less. Obviously things change over time, but basically using the same sorts of ingredients. So still all English malt, which I guess isn't unusual. That's what we use for most of our beers. So all grown and malted in East Anglia, sort of Suffolk and Norfolk, and then lots of English hops. So although the hops in the early 1900s weren't mentioned by variety, we stuck to sort of Fuggles and Goldings as a classic English sort of pair of hops, used in lots of beers, and they sort of complement each other pretty well. Both of those hops have some spicy characteristic, a little bit of earthy note, and a touch a little fruit peel as well. So beer is relatively pale, so we use a little bit of crystal malt in here as well. So as well as the normal sort of malted barley, we add a little bit of what we call crystal malt. So crystal malt is barley that's been left to sort of stew, and then it's cooked at the maltings. And what's happening in there is you're turning all the starch into sugar, and then you're cooking it. And what you end up getting is a lot of sort of toffee characteristic. So if you ever get a chance to go to a maltings, if they're making crystal malt at the time, taking it straight off the kiln is one of the most magical things you can find in a maltings, really. It's really chewy, really sweet sort of flavour, beautiful aroma to it. And obviously when we get it, we want to use a small amount of that just to give a little bit of toffee note to the beer, a little bit of fullness. And then obviously balance that with the sort of herbal characteristics of the English hops. So you get that sort of you get that spicy, fruity note, a little bit of the esters from the fermentation. So again, we use our own house yeast in this beer, and that house yeast gives us a bit of spicy characteristic and a little bit of sort of pear drops, a little bit of banana note as well. Cheers. That's Lighthouse.